right, today's teaching is all about dry ice. Dry ice, we're going to be doing some demonstrations, talk a little bit of the science behind it. We might even do some storytelling using dry ice to help do it. All right, so let's get started. Before I bring out the dry ice and start doing some of these experiments today for fun, but for education, let's imagine if we have a regular piece of ice a regular piece of ice. So pretend there's a block of ice in your hands, and that block of ice is a solid, right? And it's made out of water, but it's frozen. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so pretty cold, right? And you're sitting there, but now pretend to blow on it. Blow on it, use hot breath this time. What's happening to the ice? Well, it would be melting. It would go from a solid and melt into a liquid. Now, would it stay a liquid forever? Would it drip all over the floor? Would it stay there? What would it turn into? What was that? It would turn into a gas, water vapor. What's the word when water turns into a gas? It's called evaporation. Evaporation. Yeah, and so ice, regular ice, can be the three states of matter. It can be a solid like an ice cube. It can be liquid, as in water, and it can be a gas. That means it takes up all the space, okay? It goes wherever, and it's evaporation, three states of matter. Now we can reverse that. Can we take all the water vapor in the air and bring it back together to make it a liquid? We sure can. It's called condensation. Condensation, say that word. All right, so that's like precipitation, rain, and coming together on a cold day and a foggy day. You might see condensation on the grass and maybe on windows when it gets cold. That means there's water in the air. It's coming together because cold air is bringing it back together. And then you can take that water and you can turn it back into a solid by freezing it at 32 degrees. Well, with dry ice, you don't get the ice going into the three states of matter. It doesn't turn into a solid, liquid, or gas. It's only a solid and a gas. It's never wet, hence the name dry ice. Let's take a look at some. So first of all, dry ice is very, very cold. Burning cold. Yep, that's right. It's so cold it can burn you. It's not because it's hot. Dry ice is 109 degrees below zero. So you never want to touch it. Now, dry ice, you can get it at stores, but you have to be 18 years old. So it's kind of dangerous, but it's used to keep things really cold. So here is a block of dry ice. Watch what happens when I blow on it. Does it turn into a liquid? Is it melting? No, it's turning into a gas. It looks like smoke, doesn't it? Well, there's a word for that. It's not called evaporation. When a solid turns into a gas, that's called sublimation. Sublimation, say that word. Sublimation. So it's sublimating. And this is so cold that, like I said, it can burn you. If you touched it with your finger, it would be like touching a stove that's on. If you touched a stove on it, you're going to burn yourself. Well, if you touch really hot things, you can burn yourself. But if you touch really cold things too, they can burn you. There's things like freezer burn. But anyway, never touch dry ice with your bare fingers. That's why I'm wearing a glove. But let's have some fun. Dry ice is so cold. Watch what happens to my friend Dwight Eisenhower. He's a president that lived many years ago. He's on a silver dollar. Let's put him in the dry ice. He's so cold, he begins to shiver. His teeth are chattering. He's cold, right? Sometimes he gets so cold he even screams. Now, it's not making him scream. It has to do with the sound created because of vibration. What's happening is that dry ice is melting, it's sublimating, and it's skipping the liquid state. Let's have a little bit more fun. Back when I was a child, we had things called chalkboards. And fingernails on chalkboards would make a sound kind of like this. Ooh, very cold. But let's take a look, a little bit of dry ice, and put it in water and see what happens. So let me take some dry ice. All So in this cup, I've got a little bit of dry ice, and you can see that it's sublimating. But what happens if I put it in a little bit of water? So here I have a flask here. Let's put a little bit in there. And it's beginning to sublimate a lot more. So it's going from a solid to a gas. Maybe you can even see it bubbling in there. Well, what would happen if I trapped that smoke? Let's take a balloon and put a balloon over that smoke. Well, you can see that the dry ice it was come together as an ice cube. Dry ice cube. But now, as it's getting warm, it's beginning to sublimate, turn into a gas, and it wants to spread out. And there's pressure there too. So it's carbon dioxide is what dry ice is made out of, is carbon dioxide. That's what you breathe out. So everybody take a deep breath in. Oxygen in, everybody blow out. Carbon dioxide is what dry ice is made out of. And wow, let's see what happens if, let's see, 3, 2, 1. Whoa, wow. But you can see that it's going from a solid to a gas, and it's cold. And so hot air goes up, cold air goes down. Well, that stuff right there, that is carbon dioxide. All right, let's see what would happen if we put a little bit of food coloring in the dry ice. So I'm going to start by taking another flask of water, and let's add some food coloring to the water. All right, and now as you can see, all the waters turn red because the food coloring is also in the liquid state. All right, so what do you think will happen if I put dry ice in the flask now? Now, do you think the smoke will change color? Make a prediction. Do you think it'll turn red? Maybe pink? Maybe a shade of red? Or do you think it'll stay white? All right, let's find out. Let's take some dry ice, put it in there. Made your predictions. Now let's observe what does happen. All right, what color is the carbon dioxide gas? It's white. Why doesn't it turn red like the water it's in? Well, maybe you thought so. Maybe you said it right. Because the liquid, the food coloring is in the liquid state, the dry ice can never pick up the food coloring. It skips the liquid state. It goes from being a solid right into being a gas, and it misses where the liquid food coloring is. So that's why the carbon dioxide gas stays white. All right, well, let's continue. We're going to have that, and that'll be bubbling on behind me. But let me tell you a little bit of story about dry ice. Story, and it came from my father. So when I was your age, well, let's see, if you're about 7 years old, a long time ago, when I was 7, I used to love to go outside and play when it was muddy out. I know, I'd go and get all muddy, and I'd play in the mud, I'd get all dirty, and then I'd come inside. And my dad, you know what he said? You need to take a bath, maybe a shower, but I liked baths. Well, this one time I came in dripping with mud, all dirty, and I expected my dad to tell me to take a bath. He said, you know what, son? Let's do a science experiment instead. I said, cool. So here's what he did. That day, we got a package in the mail. It was a package from my grandparents, a package of food. It was frozen sausage, I believe, maybe kielbasa. And in that box, where the frozen kielbasa sausage was something keeping it cold, some ice. What kind of ice do you think it was? That's right, dry ice. Why did they use dry ice instead of regular ice to keep it cold? Because the regular ice would melt into a liquid. Well, dry ice kept it cold, and if it melted, well, it just melted into a gas. It sublimed, sublimation. So anyway, my dad had all this dry ice left over after the package. So he said, let's do a special bathtub today. See, I don't know if you know it, but a long time ago, about that same time, I was about 7 years old, a movie came out for the first time called Star Wars. Oh, you heard of it? Oh, okay, Star Wars. Well, anyway, in that movie, there's this character. He's dressed all in black, and his name is Oh, you know that too, Darth Vader. Yeah, well, Darth Vader, okay, he made this planet. It's kind of a scary planet, right? It's called the Death Star. Wow, you're good. You're good. Anyway, on this planet, the Death Star, in the movie, to make it look kind of scary, well, the directors and the special effects people, they used dry ice to make it look like Darth Vader was, and they put it to music, dun, 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 and he's walking, and this cloud that he's walking through is a cloud of dry ice, carbon dioxide gas, and it kind of looks spooky and it's kind of fun. So my dad said, let's do your bathtub tonight with the Death Star special effect with dry ice. I said, cool. So here's what he did. He took my bathtub and he filled it up with a bunch of dry ice. So we'll use this for my bathtub. And then he put some dry ice in there. So let's put some dry ice in my bathtub. He said, don't touch it. I said, okay. It was a pretty cold bath. Well, anyway, put it in there. And after a few minutes, he put something else in there. What do you think it was? Bubble bath soap. So I put some soap in there. And after a few minutes, something very cool started happening. It started making bubbles. But these bubbles weren't ordinary bubbles. They were, let's get them here, smoky bubbles. My hands are kind of red there from the food coloring, but you can see the bubbles are kind of... So anyway, I took the bubbles and I started washing myself. I started taking the bubbles and I, washed my hair. I got really clean, but the bubbles, being smoky bubbles, they were kind of fun. Well, the story's not over with. So that night, my mom, she went to take a shower. She went to the same bathtub I used, but she turned the bathtub from a bathtub into a shower by turning the knob, to make water come out the top. Water didn't come out the top. What do you think came up instead? Well, here's what it was. Guess there must have been a whole bunch of dry ice left in the plumbing. Dry ice left in the pipes. And so when she turned on the shower, this is what started coming out. But there must have been some soap left in there too, and it started making big bubbles. Boom. Bubbles. Let's see if we can get a bubble on my head today. I don't know. Maybe I can hold a bubble. Let's see. Now, when you try to hold a bubble, sometimes it breaks in your hand. It pops because your hand, though you hardly can't see it, there are microscopic little pricklies and sharpies, and it's kind of rough. But you can also try to wear some kind of glove or something smooth. Sometimes you can catch a bubble that's smooth. So we're going to try that today. We're going to see if we can get a bubble that we can hold on to. Let's put a little bit more dry ice in my bottle. And put some soap on it. And let's see if we can hold a bubble in my hand. There we go, almost. There it is. Capturing a bubble. Well, I hope you had some fun with the dry ice today. Keep exploring, keep trying things, and stay safe. Make sure that you keep asking questions, answering your own questions, and then you're a scientist too. Have a great day.